July 20th. More than this. Yeah, sure. We'd love to have you guys, and I'm sure that Tavi will love to see you as well. Honestly, the whole family will. Of course not. It never is, you know that. What time? Okay. Either night or I will be there. Yeah, can't wait to see you as well. Bye! Velvet plopped down a chair next to the phone and said, I am so fucked. Celestia laughed. Goddamn drama queen, I swear. Tia, go fuck yourself sideways, okay? The principal laughed. That's what I have a boyfriend for. Luna almost dropped her beer. Tia, I swear to God, you're a cunt for not telling me that you got that far. Lulu, unlike you, I don't like to advertise my relationships. Looking down at both, she said, Look, Sable and I are taking it one day at a time. And honestly, this got to where it is faster than I expected. Maybe I'm a prude or old-fashioned. Oh, I'm a cute and drunk college girl. Will someone come fuck me? Velvet said in a sing-song voice. Celestia facepalmed. You're never gonna let me live that one down, are you? I wouldn't be your best friend if I did, Velvet commented, taking a swig of her wine cooler. Whatever. So who was I on the phone? Knight's parents. We knew that sooner or later they were all going to want to meet Sunset. And honestly, when they didn't come down after Sunny's birthday, I breathed a sigh of relief. But Tavi's birthday's tomorrow, and they'll be in, and... She covered her face with her hand. Not quite a face palm, but rather a result of a deeply ingrained desire to hide. I wonder if I can move to Mozambique. Come on, then. This is your in-laws we're talking about. How problematic could it be? Luna asked. Well, you've met my parents, right? Knights are unique. And I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just that Velvet seemed to actually struggling with the definition, which the other two women knew wasn't normal for their friend. Finally, Velvet finished with, Well, I loved my husband, but Knight could be a bit of an oddball at times, and I guarantee you he gets after his parents. Knight definitely takes after his father, Naklik. Naklik? Luna asked. Yeah. Apparently his movie moved from West Germany when Nak was 3, but he lived here all his life. Doesn't take the fact that he has very German attitude he got from his parents. Calliope, on the other hand, let's just say that's a couple I never would have expected to get together. Are we going to be laughing our asses off? Celestia asked with a gleeful, impish smirk. Tia, may I remind you that if infinite other realities exist, somewhere you dated and fell in love with Knight, and these are your in-laws? Velvet Karen. To her surprise, Celestia winced at the thought. Luna, who knew her sister had a very bad empathy. After all, Sunset came from another reality. There are likely parallel human ones, too. Asked, So, what does Calliope do? He's a musician. It's where my brother-in-law got his influence from, sort of. How about we talking? By a small miracle, at that moment, a mournful tone wafted in from the office. Odd. I didn't know she was here, Velvet mused. Your niece? Celestia asked. Yeah, Tavi lives with us now. Not that it's unusual or anything. Though, I don't know why she'd be here right now. Velvet got off the chair. I'll be right back. Velvet opened the door to the office, seeing Octavia playing her contrabass. She looked agitated and was playing something sorrowful with verve, the tears slowly falling down her cheeks. As the door opened, she stopped to look at Velvet. Oh, old Velvet, I didn't know you were home. Are you okay, sweetie? Without waiting for an answer, Velvet went over and hugged her niece, who practically crawled into her embrace. It's just the music, Octavia replied, unable to look at her aunt. Tavi, I used to change your diapers when you were a kid, you know. I know you as well as your parents, and I know you're hurting. You want to talk about it? Sorry, I'm feeling lonely right now. Twilight and Sunny headed out today for something and took off without me, and all my friends are unavailable. Plus, I'm having to deal with my parents leaving, and... She finally looked up at her aunt, fragile look on her face. Sorry, Aunt Velvet. You didn't have to worry about me, really. Did she actually forget her own birthday? Velvet wondered, but realized it could easily be typical teenage melodrama. She wasn't so old that she couldn't remember her own misadventures growing up, and the two ladies certainly sitting in the living room. And you couldn't be more wrong about that. Velvet said, kissing the girl on the forehead. If you need me, I'm always here. And I know how it feels to be alone, okay? I wasn't much older than you when I had to go off to college by myself. At the time, I didn't expect my best friend was going to be there. It's probably the loneliest day I ever spent. So I know how it kind of feels. As for your parents leaving, well, nobody expected that. But you're a wonderful young woman, Tavi. And I know without a doubt you'll move beyond this. Sometimes I don't feel like I can. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a dark, bottomless well. Something is eating inside me, and I can't explain it. And I don't really know who to turn to. You have us. You'll always have us, no matter what. We're a family, and you know what your uncle says. Yeah, that I do. Family always sticks together, even when they desperately want to throttle one another, she said, a grin finally breaking to her face. You know that makes no sense. Your uncle's known for his brain, not his wit. At that, the younger woman started laughing finally, then went back to embracing her aunt. That moment, Celestia took the time to peek her head in, saw Velvet comforting her niece, then mouthed a silent, "Where you going? Looks like she needs you more than us." Velvet nodded and said nothing else, knowing that she would talk to her friend later anyway. Celestia then departed, telling her sister, "We should get going. Besides, looks like Vel's taking care of her kids." "Octavia, right?" Luna asked as they head towards the duo. "She seems like a handful, if you ask me." Walking over to Luna's car, Celestia asked, "Why do you say that? I've talked to her before, and she seems like a level-headed young woman. Far more stable than some of our students, especially given her circumstances." "No, it's not that," Luna explained. Sunset's acting out we know was a cry for help, and we really didn't pay too much attention to it, because she knew how to push our buttons. As to how she did, but she likely figured it out pretty quickly. But there seems to be something mostly manipulative about that girl, something deliberate. "Why would you say that? I don't think Octavia..." Luna sighed. "Sis, take it for someone who tried to manipulate the hell out of you and Vel when we were kids. I know what we're talking about. All you have to do is look at Twilight. For as long as we've known her, she's been much behind the emotional social curves. I'm not sure I parsed that. Last time I talked to her, she seemed to be well in tune with everything, carried the conversation fairly well. She was certainly more mature than some of the others at the party. You can thank Sunset's influence for that. Think about it. Compare Twilight to how she was last year, and how she is now. There's been a huge change, and I think Sunset's credit for that. As Luca and driver's seat, he had, mind, I'm not accusing Octavia of anything, malicious or anything. Sounds like you are. Because you don't see the things I do. Look at it this way. Do you remember when I spent all that time around Vel after you broke my arm and pretty much monopolized her time? I did that not because I wanted to get you for anything, or because I wanted to turn her against you. I did it because I was lonely and I felt you two had no more time for me. I was being manipulative for no other reason than that. And thankfully, it was Harmonia that noticed, or else we probably would have to come to blows again. During the ignition, Luna finished up with, I think that's Sunset in the picture. Octavia doesn't know what to do. She's been the focal point in most of Twilight's life, from what Fez said, and coming from experience, that's a very bad place to be when you're a teenager. And this is why I don't want to have kids, Celestia groaned as the pair drove away. Taking care of a bunch of them at school is more than enough for me, truth be told. But no Mama Tia. Selena teased. Hey, at least my boyfriend is housebroken. Yours usually sleeps in a drunk stumble somewhere or on the corner of your bed. Oh, the next time I come over and you two didn't put on clothing on because you overslept, I'm taking pictures and posting on Facebook. You wouldn't, LinkedIn then? Well, posting it. Remember, I have accounts on all the social media sites so I can keep tabs on our students. Luna tried not to face palm as she reached the stop sign. I really should make you walk home. It was well past midnight when both Sunset and Twilight came in through the door. I hope Rainbow doesn't forget, Twilight said. Of course Rainbow's gonna forget, Sunset chuckled. That's why I asked Rarity to take care of things instead. You think of everything, don't you, sis? Sunset smiled. I try, Twilight, I try. To their surprise, Velvet was still up. You two are home late. Sorry, Mom. We kinda got tied up at Rarity's place, wrapping up everything, making sure it's all ready to go for tomorrow, Sunset told her. I mean, we couldn't exactly have her around while getting presents for our birthday party, you know. Yes, But you should be more considerate of her feelings, girls. She's been in a funk all day because she thought you guys abandoned her. Velvet explained. That's usually my modus operandi, Mom. Twilight piped up, a half smirk on her face. Velvet knew it was the usual virtual twin of her older daughters. Twilight really has changed a lot due to Sunny, and vice versa, Velvet mused. They're both very much the two sides of a coin. Yes, but you know the difficult time she's going through right now. Her parents had to leave early. She really hasn't decorated the room we built for her. Not that any of you seem to exclusively use your rooms, mine. And when she sees the cars that your aunt and uncle left behind, well, that's a dialing miner as well. Twilight's sunset seemed to deflate a little, and Velvet said, I know your hearts were in the right place, girls, especially given tomorrow, but keep her in mind, okay? Mom, Twilight and I wouldn't be doing this if we didn't, Sunset said in a slightly defensive tone. I know, Sonny, it's just, well, it's one of those things you'll get when you're older. Now go and get some sleep. You do have a very big day ahead tomorrow. Both girls kissed her on the cheek and went upstairs to their rooms. Velvet, satisfied she'd done well, turned out the lights downstairs and in turn went to bed as well. She started to drift off when she realized she'd forgotten something. Sunset opened her eyes to find a pair of strangers looking at her. The pair was an old man and an old woman, both with freakishly huge grins on their face. The man had a worn weather face, sleek black hair of blue, green, and gray. The woman had long hair of indigo and yellow, tied back in a simple ponytail. Seeing as how both were staring at sunset, with Twilight still asleep, she did the only thing she could. She spun in bed as fast as she could, lashed out with a spinning kick, and attacked very much hampered by the bed sheets. At the same time, she tried to scream for help while helping her sister. The man managed to rear back in time, to smile on his face. She's feisty. I like that. The woman grinned back. Well, you married me, you know. Footsteps rushed down the door, and the first one to poke his head in was Spike. Rolling his eyes, he said, I'm so glad you don't do that to me anymore. A second later, Knight was behind the stranger. Seeing what happened, he groaned, I asked you not to screw with the kids. The older man looked back at the younger. It's a family tradition, he defended. Yes, because being inches away from the strike zone of a 17-year-old girl practicing martial arts is the safest thing to do, Knight retorted. At this time, Twilight, bluntly awoken by Sunset's shout, flinched, then looked at her sister's cautious eye, then the commotion in the room, and finally, she sighed. I thought you two had stopped that by now. The old woman pointed to the man. You know him, she said simply. You're just as bad. As Sunset started to calm down, she looked at Twilight. Someone want to tell me why there are two old freaks in my bedroom? Yeah, Twilight said awkwardly. They're our grandparents. Minutes later, everyone was treated to the strange instance of Twilight Velvet, double over and howling with laughter, trying to grip the glass of water that Spike had so helpfully brought to her. Okay, that's the best laugh I had in months, she said, finally catching her breath. I really can't believe you keep doing that, Knock. It's a little like grandchildren, he said in his offended tone. My parents love them too, but they don't stow bards in their rooms. Well, the girls have been changing or something. I changed their diapers, but not hers, he commented, pointing at Sunset. Besides, I'm pretty sure I know what's under the hood. Knight's mother looked at him, as if for the universal policy, she said, It's your father. Velvet laughed. You're no better, Calliope. Sitting on the couch, Sunset tried to be on her best behavior as she whispered to Spike. I'm still lost. Clue me in, please. Grandpa does this to everyone in the family sooner or later, Spike replied offhandedly. He thinks it's something we loved as kids is clearly going to last for a lifetime. No kidding, Twilight grunted, her arms crossed and clearly not happy about waiting to fuck up a clock event. Anyway, Knight said, cutting through the argument in progress. Sunset, these are your grandparents, Nakalik and Calliope. Sunset caught the right. Nakalik? German? Knock grinned. I've never been there. My parents moved here well before I was born, but they gave me 3 kids' German names. Go figure. Anyway, I'm an instrumentor by trade, currently working for the LBT facility in Arizona. As for his wife, she got up and walked over Sunset, pulled her up, a smile on the elderly woman's face. Look at you. You're absolutely beautiful. I'm your grandmother, Calliope. I used to work in a circus, but I settled for the quiet life after I met this little coot. She said with a laugh. Still could play the organ and piano better than anyone else. Sunset felt distinctly uncomfortable. She had months to settle into her family, as well as be exposed to her aunt and uncle, Octavia's parents. But this sudden instance of being thrown to the proverbial pool was just a little disconcerting, even for someone with Sunset's experience in dealing with the weird. However, with her grandmother looking at her a piece of meat, she didn't know what to do. Spike, however, took her hand and said, "Hey, Sonny, do you a favor, okay?" Velvet said, "Spike, not now, okay?" "Mom, Sunset said she'd do it earlier, and I didn't get a chance to ask her until now. Please." "Mom, it's okay. I'll be right back. Won't be an issue," Sunset said. With that, the teen followed her younger brother upstairs toward her room. A thought meanwhile came over Twilight's face. "Mom, where's Tavi?" "Oh, your friend Rarity took her out for breakfast. I suspect so that the rest of your friends can help decorate the place for the party." "Party? Nah, guys. You're throwing a party for my granddaughter. You didn't suggest my opinion of it?" "Not. We're talking teenagers here." "Nonsense. Parties are timeless, especially the influenced friends of young Twilight here, who's been a social recluse all their life." Nog put his arm around her, with pride, boasting, "I wouldn't be surprised if both your friends show up, and they'll just cut along with panache." Twilight tried not to facepalm. "Okay, Spike," Sunset asked, "what's so important you need help right now?" Spike grinned. "Actually, you needed the help," he said. "I know Grandma and Grandpa could be a little bit, intense." "Yeah, that. Anyway, I figured you needed a way out, and since nobody minds me much, hey, I got you out of there, right?" A huge grin creeped over Sunset as he hugged Spike. Messing with his green hair as he cheered. "Spike, I could just kiss you right now." "No thanks. I'm gonna get more than enough of that," he demurred. "But get me this week's comic books and we're even, okay?" "Yeah, you got it." "Octavia, dear, I want you to be absolutely honest with me," Rarity said archly, "because we've been watching you over the past few weeks, and frankly, I have some concerns." "Concerns?" Octavia asked. "Like what?" "Do you really want me to voice them?" she asked, and after a few seconds' worth of hesitation, the other teen nodded. "Well then, if you ask me, I think you're jealous of Sunset because, well, forgive me for saying this, but I can't help but wondering if you're in love with Twilight." Octavia blinked. Twice. 3 times. Then snarled. "Rarity, you're my friend, so I'm going to ask you to get your goddamn mind out of whatever romance and or porn novel you've been reading as of late. You do know what RSI is, right?" "Yes, I read that one before deciding to have this conversation with you," Rarity, if the fashionista admitted. "I felt it was necessary to ask. You may be offended, and if so, I apologize, but I am your friend, Octavia, dear." Octavia sat there for the longest time and said, "Well, I don't know. There should be no possible way. For one, I'm not a lesbian." "Perhaps it's cliché, but Bonbon once told me that there's a person out there that's just perfect for you, and until you meet that person, you cannot absolutely be sure of how you stand. You see, Elira was very sure she was a lesbian when they started their relationship. But until she made that jump, Bonbon had been convinced that only men had any interest for her." "Well, that's the other thing. She's my cousin. Even if I was in love with her, it's incest. No thanks." "Octavia, you cannot help how you feel," Rarity told her, "and I have never suggested you take any such action. I just want to help you work through whatever issues you have." "Yes, but you're suggesting that I go boink the closest thing I have to a little sister. How would you like it if I said you should go scissor Sweetie Belle?" "Well, for one thing, Sweetie Belle's too young." Rarity once said that, and Octavia thought she might have pushed things a little too far. "Look, I'm feeling a little conflicted about Sunny, not Twilight, okay?" Rarity was opening her mouth, but Octavia said, "Don't you say her success on what the fuck Sunny, okay? Sometimes it's better than all I could do to stop being around her." Although, personally, if Sunset Shimmer ever came to me and asked me to basically ride her off into the sunset, I would say respectfully no, because I'm saving that my booty for Applejack. Still pervy. Yo!
Actually, I wasn't about to suggest that, Rarity countered. But what I was suggesting is that you feel as though Sunset is taking away the one you love most in the world. Even if you never made that step, even if you just lost it, maybe that's how you feel. You have been, to use a tender phrase, trying to mate for all this time. You have been her only real friend and older sister figure, and now Sunset has come along, older than both of you. Twilight looks up to her, and there are more of us now to prevent you monopolizing season of Twilight. So you're saying that I feel you should all go away so I can have Twilight's heart and soul? That's crazy, lass. Rarity held up her coffee to her lips. The heart wants is what it wants, darling, whether it gets it or not, she said simply. There's another thing. What if I am in love with Twilight, as you say? How do I face her if that attraction is growing? Well, if this were some anime, you wanting to bang your cousin would be perfectly fine! God, I love Evelyn, but man, that triangle. Rarity reached out with her other hand and gave Octavius a comforting squeeze. If that is true, and only you can decide that, Octavia, you can at least comfort yourself in knowing that Twilight does love you, more than one cousin loves another. She looks at you and sees a sister, not a mere cousin. And for an only child like you, that should be absolutely vital. Octavia nodded. Yes, Wes, it is. Well, I'll say, I never thought that your grandpa was going to be like this. Elzak looked at Sunset and Twilight with a huge grin. Someone kill me now, please. Sunset moaned while Twilight merely looked at her sister with horrified sympathy. With a practiced ease of someone that didn't even remotely spy as he was, Nock moved from one end to the other of the main room, throwing up gifting bunting that looked more akin to our grand ball than a simple party. Ugh! Can someone get him to stop? Rainbow asked. This is going totally harsh the party. Oh, I don't know, Pinky said with a grin. I kinda like it. Besides, you could never harsh a party. Shut up, Pinks. There was a knock on the door. And Spike opened it to reveal Adagio, Arya, and Sonata, all three bearing gifts. Okay, where should we put... Adagio began but never finished. As a second layer, the three of them were enveloped in a huge hug, breath-escaping hug. Oh, these are so darling, Calliope cooed as he looked at the triplets, then back to Night. Son, why didn't you and your wife have triplets? Mom, you do know that in general, multiple births aren't that common, right? Son, don't argue with your mother. Zena turned her attention to the younger, smaller girls. Oh, you three are so adorable. Velvet, maybe you should adopt these three too. That is a thought. Velvet mused while her husband glared at her. Just kidding, dear, she finally said. Grandma? Twilight said, finally coming to her friend's rescue. I'm sure he likes some time to breathe. Oh, right, sorry. Calliope let go of the three girls. Adagio felt as he needed to be wary. Arya decided to move over to Twilight and Sunset for safety. Sonata, meanwhile, the most emotional of the trio, merely smiled, though people who knew her well enough could see the concern in her eyes. Pinky? Sunny? Would you two be willing to help me in the kitchen? Flaresang asked. Sure thing, Flares! Sonata sounded in an over-exaggerated manner. Without even waiting for a response from Pinky, she grabbed the bubbly teen's hand and rushed off for the safety of the kitchen. Pinky practically dragged along Sonata's wake. Meanwhile, Arya took this time to speak up from her sanctuary. Girls, your grandmother scares me. Sunset sighed in sympathy. This is turning out to be a common refrain. Yeah, Twilight agreed. Grandma and Grandpa could be a little intense. Intense nothing. Adagio says he moved to her friends. I've met intense people. Your grandma's What the hell? The curly-haired girl straightened off as he saw Nock effortlessly bounce from ladder to ladder, with Sun practically shouting at him. This is probably the part where I explained that Grandpa was in the army briefly in Vietnam, Twilight said, feeling very embarrassed as her grandfather took the time to start regaling the folks with the story of how it was ambushed by the Kong and Da Nang. Instead of this, because it... G-word censored, because I'm not going to get my channel
Blasted, and I never believe in using racist terminology whatsoever. And bust my unit. Dad, you were never in the field. For Christ's sake, we have 4 Asian girls here.
Fluttershy is quarter Japanese, and the triplets are Chinese.
Okay, did such your friends. Remember, girls.
Dee!
Good, but don't surf.
That's not the point! Girls, we're seriously sorry, Sunset said. Wanted to apologize to Arya and Adagio, while Twilight ran out to make sure Fluttershy and Sanada didn't hear it, and they did to make amends. Adagio put up a hand. Don't worry, Sonny. Seriously. He's from a different time and all that. I get that. We heard that more than once on base from people from that era. They don't mean anything by it. That's just how they were back then. I mean it. We're okay.
Oh, sure, old people are okay with that, but if I said those words on my channel, oh my god, would I have people after me? They would start calling me a conservative idiot, start calling me alt-right, and start calling me Republican, and racist!
Me! A little yellow pony with red hair! I'm a Pegasus! The only racism I ever worry about is when Kudos wants to remind me that Earth ponies are superior, Pegasus are inferior!
This is my species, this is the one born with hollow bones! Oh, shut up!
Sunset breathed a sigh of relief. If these are my grandparents, I surely hope my other grandparents aren't as bad. At that point, Sunny and Cadence arrived from their respective workplaces, and the mess started all over again. Happy birthday, Tavi! The crowd sang out. Thanks, guys. Octavia blushed. After having spent her day with Rarity, only to find it a bit of a ruse so they could plan a surprise party. She also talked things over with her friend, and was pretty sure she wasn't in the mad Lebosys love with her cousin and sister figure, nor does she hate Sunset. Things just didn't work like that. Happy birthday, Sunset said, hugging her tightly. Thanks for sharing it with me, Sunny, Octavia said, holding her close. No, she loved Sunset. She didn't hate her. She most certainly didn't want to hurt her. Stick her head in a garbage disposal and a whole host of things that were going through the back of her mind. Hey, we're family, right? No. You're an interloper, intruder, thief. You should be eviscerated, slaughtered, flayed! Always, Octavia said through clenched teeth. Something wrong? Sunset asked, a brief look of worry flitting across her face. Just with Grandma and Grandpa, she said, which was partially the truth.
Oh, now that's my turn, Nox said as he brought up Book.
Behind him, Calipy's face nearly split into a wide, loving grin. A book! Octavia cooed, smiling despite the fact that in all the years, her grandparents had never gotten it right, always giving her the books, and Twilight always the music-related items. They generally traded whenever it was applicable, and it was Octavia's case, based on the message from Twilight received this year. It'll be another year when they do so again. As she unwrapped the book, she said, Oh, Grandpa, you shouldn't have.
I knew you appreciated it,
he said warmly. No, I mean, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. The tone of her voice was clear mortification, and everyone in the room looked at her oddly before realizing she received something that wasn't going to be the best gift for public display. Sweetie, go ahead and show everyone what you got, Calipy said, gesturing for her to lift up the book. With the look of those sentenced to be executed, Octavia looked at the book for all to see, hoping no one in particular would give her grief for this. And knowing without a doubt they would.
Knight said, Dad, really? I thought she could use it. She's a growing young lady, you know.
Yes, Nock, Velvet signed in. But that? She already knows about that. The response for Calipy said it all. Oh, my. Octavia continued to hold the book in her hands, entitled, What to Expect When the Time Comes, a complete guide to women's menstruation. Looking at her grandparents with an awkward smile, trying not to cry for the complete humiliation she felt. Cadence, sensing the girl's showing trauma, moved in to save the day. Tell you what, Tavi, she said with a grin. There's a 10-year-old girl who lives down the hall from us. I'll pass this to her dad, since he's a single parent, and it'll go to a good cause, okay?
Unable to say anything, Octavia immediately nodded. The room fell into a very awkward silence as no one knew what to do next. The only thing that could be done was by Fluttershy, who hugged her distraught friend. Immediately, 9 other girls came in and embraced the crying Octavia. Though her heart knew that the tears were changing from sorrow to joy, these were her friends and family. People she knew and cared.
Octavia,
Kelby started.
No, it's okay.
Octavia says the other girls let her go.
Things have changed since you were my age. I know, Grandma, and I would never think you did this out of spite. It's just you and Grandpa mastered the beat of your own drums. I know that. The classes come when the songs are different is all.
Kelby embraced her.
How did I get such a wise grandchild?
It's in the blood, Nox said with pride. Speaking of this, did I... You probably don't want to finish that sentence, Sunset advised. You sure you're feeling better now? Night asked as Octavia as the two talked. Hours after everyone had left, and Nock and Calliope went to their hotel.
The wavy-haired teen nodded. I'm fine, Uncle Knight, really. I was more mortified than anything else.
I know. My brothers and I had to deal with it too, he reminded her. Probably got worse because they're our parents. He then got up and kissed her on the forehead. You better go get some sleep. Our grandparents are taking you, Twilight, and Sunny out tomorrow and spend a day with you three. Plus, they want to get you an actual gift.
I know. That's not really necessary. But spending time with them? She said, a thoughtful look coming into her face. That's to be worth it.
That's my girl, he told her. Now I gotta get back to the monograph they want me to peer review. You have a good night, Toffee.
Don't stay up too late. Good night.
Octavia walked up to the room, where she pretty much stared with Sunset and Twilight. Both were already asleep, and Sunset was turned to her side, dozing away. But Twilight looked like a sleeping beauty, her lips moving gently with her breath.
Am I enough of you, Twiny? You're the closest thing I have to a sister. I can't imagine you as a lover, and yet...
Not sure what she was doing, Octavia bent down, her lips moving towards Twilight's, and... Sorry, you incest lovers, you ain't gonna get that here today!
Sad to bring you all out here, Shiny, Sandalwood said. The two were at Sundial Bridge in the middle of town, with a bevy of police cruisers around them.
Yeah, because I love being dragged out of bed at 2 in the morning with my fiancée wondering where the hell I'm running off to.
He really smiled. I got something that'll warm y'all up. She said with a grin. She passed him a cup. Oh, and I got coffee too. Come on, senior officer's waiting for us.
They walked all the way to the center of the bridge when the senior officer looked up. Hey, Armor, when you join the Phoebes? Only on an extended loan stick, Sonny explained. Nightstick had been a fellow cadet at the academy, and though he was stationed at the Central Peach District, the two still kept in touch from time to time. So what we got? Guy who owned that warehouse downtown decided to off himself and his wife on the bridge. Straight murder-suicide. A couple thought it'd be kind of kinky to have sex on the bridge under the stars when found him. Needless to say, ruined the mood. Okay, it's an acey-doocy, Shiny commented. Natural slang of the police compartment slang right in. Obviously, you didn't bother the local federales for just for shits and giggles. Of course not. I think I'd turn a tag over if we couldn't do it ourselves, Nightstick replied. But then again, how many people do you know have access to one of these little beauties? Officer asked, handing Shiny a clear bag with a gun in it.
Oh, that's a sketch in APS, Sandalwood commented, looking over Shiny's shoulder. Russian machine pistol. You can't fire without stock. Too unstable otherwise.
Also, hella illegal to have here in California, not to say U.S. in general, Shiny agreed. Not to mention that for murder-suicides, it usually happens at the home, and with whatever's available at hand, not this.
Theatricality? Sandalwood suggested.
Yeah, that. Shiny looked at Nightstick. Okay, Stick, what else did you find? Smart man. Nightstick nodded. We also found that APS wasn't fired at all. If you look at the bodies, They were done in by a 9mm, and that APS is a 762 model. These two were murdered, cleanly and professionally. Shining silently looked at the gun, did the two bodies covered with a tarp, then back to one another. Sirens! They agreed in grim unison as another officer ran up to him. Hey, we found a couple more bodies! The new arrival told all present, and it's not pretty. Let's start. Octavia woke up. Everything was cold and wet, and Octavia looked down at her hand. I'm so messed up. I apologize for the Evangelion reference. I'll never do it again. I'm outside, she gasped. A second later, she looked down and, I'm naked? Wondering what the hell's going on. She looked around and see she was suddenly made her queasy. There was dirt and blood. Where the blood came from, she didn't know. Smeared all over her body. Lying on the ground was one of Velvet's prized Miyabi kitchen knives. She'd seen them on Amazon for close to $300. And underneath the knife was a slash and sliced remains of Sunset's favorite t-shirt. A light blue number with a stylized sign on it that she said was a replacement for the one she had back at the warehouse. What happened? Octavia wondered, fear gripping her. Am I going mad like Twilight was? Is the vibe doing something to me too? No, it's not. The voice in the back of her head said, It's you, and you welcome it. Octavia felt a drop of something drop on the back of her head. She turned around to see another one of the kitchen knives embedded in a tree directly behind her. And impaled on that knife was... Octavia threw everything in the garbage. Sneaking into the house, she put the knives in the dishwasher, then went upstairs into the shower. She blasted all the hot water for all it was warm. Finally, after leaving the warm rain of the shower head hit her, she finally got herself to cry hysterically and vomit. Darn think you know how to ruin a couple of good naked women's scenes, you know? So you've done well, Divine said, placing a line down on the piano's unclosed bosom as he held a glass of wine. The two gazed out the window at Mount Shasta, with the sea of candlelight just to the southwest of them. The accommodations are more than adequate for the moment. You've dealt with both our new, sadly deceased ally and his assassins. You even managed to find a drinkable California wine. I am simply impressed, my dear. Am I? Piano asked. You dear. Piano asked, dissing a necklace and leaning close to him. I would be more, my lord, but I want be everything. He bent down and kissed her. Of course you would. And for that, I could not be more pleased. In fact, he said, taking her by the hand and leading her to the sofa, I have something for you. You do, Piano said, blushing through the English he was hearing. She had finally earned her space as a princess and his bride. There is a tradition, he told her as he sat her down on the cushions, that my family follows. An old Bonaparte legacy. First, the finest diamonds for the bride-to-be. He reached into a pocket and pulled out a priceless necklace of diamonds, to which he placed it around her breathless neck. The second, he told her, you are fulfilled, promising your heart and soul to me. I'm what I would only steal, my love, she sighed. She held him as her love now. Soon she would be Princess Piano, and someday Empress. And lastly, he said, pouring a drink from an unmarked brown bottle, it is tradition for the bride-to-be to consume a drink of the family's finest brandy. I have no idea why, but my mother did it, as did my grandmother, and so forth and so on. He handed it to her, saying, with this, we will seal the deal. At that moment, his cell phone went off and he looked at it. Excuse me, my dear. The lawyer is here with some paperwork to sign, but when I get back... He kissed her on the forehead. I would very much like to make love to my fiancé. And I would like that too, she sighed. He smiled right towards the door as she brought the flagon to her lips. She took a drink. It tasted weird at first, with a bunch of flavors she couldn't describe. She hadn't had brandy before and could hardly claim any familiarity with the drink. But eventually she downed it all and sighed, the liquid leaving a warm feeling in her body and the need for more. She poured herself another drink, and then another, then after a few minutes drank directly from the bottle. At this point she stood up, getting slightly drunk. She felt a warmth in her in other reasons, and knew that soon Divine would come to take care of that need. She could practically feel him now. Every bit of the warmth suddenly turned into a burning sensation, then into an inferno within her. She started to roast, and before she could take a single step more, she collapsed to the ground, vomiting up unnaturally colored bile. She could feel liquid leaking from every pore of her body, and as she looked at the polished marble floor, she was horrified to see blood seeping from her mouth, nose, eyes, and ears. She arched back, as if slugged in the back, and an unearthly scream came from Piano Bliss, one of the unnatural pain. 2 darts lashed down her strained the chest. A second later, the wires connected to the darts electrified, as she racing down the tasers to jolt Piano and bring her to a blissful consciousness as she pitched forward. From her high spot, Katana Bliss dropped the taser gun and watched forward, bending over to check Piano's pulse. It was increasing speed, and well beyond that in human tolerances. I wouldn't worry about that. Divine says he walked back to the room. By the time her transformation is done, she won't read as baseline human anymore. Excuse me. I told you I would share everything with you, Katana. She will be the first of your new army. The first of an inhuman, unstoppable army. But for now, we may get her to a suitable room so she'll be able to evolve in peace. I must admit, the grimoire of my father of fathers didn't specify as a gentle change or not. He snapped his fingers and 2 handymen immediately appeared. He gave them quick orders, and with a bow, they picked up the convulsing young woman and carried her off. What to know? Katana asked. He smiled. What I told Piano. I intend to make love to my fiancée. And if she is not willing, Katana asked. Divine pouted and said, then she's not willing. I need an equal, not someone suborned. Katana responded by removing her shirt. Boing! That's all the answer I need. Now, make me your woman, and let's rule together.